Solomon, an iconic figure in history, is recognized as one of the most prosperous and wealthy rulers of his time. The Bible portrays him as the successor to David on the throne of Israel, renowned for his exceptional wisdom and his grand works, including the construction of the first temple in Jerusalem. His influence transcends the biblical text, appearing in over 300 instances in the Old Testament and at least 12 times in the New Testament. His name also echoes in extra-biblical writings and Jewish legends, which associate him with mystical and even obscure practices, such as the control of demons. The son of David and Bathsheba, Solomon was born while David reigned in Jerusalem. In the Bible, he is called Jedediah, which means beloved by the Lord. His reign lasted about 40 years, between 971 and 931 BC, although the early years of his life are poorly detailed. The biblical information about David's family suggests a turbulent environment, marked by intrigues and power struggles between the king's wives and children. Solomon, too, appears in a context of great family tension amidst a dispute for the throne of Israel. History recounts that Adonijah, Solomon's older brother, attempted to usurp the throne from his father, David. However, Bathsheba, the prophet Nathan, and other allies intervened, reminding David of his promise that Solomon would be his successor. David then ordered the coronation of Solomon, who became king of Israel. Solomon, likely only 18 years old, inherited a vast territory from David, encompassing about 128,000 square kilometers. During his reign, he improved the internal structures of Israel, replacing the old tribal divisions with 12 administrative districts, each with an official responsible for supplying the court. King Solomon also invested in military improvements, introducing chariots and cavalry into his army, as well as building roads and fortresses to protect trade routes. Trade, in fact, was one of the pillars of Solomon's reign, controlling strategic routes and generating great wealth. Silver became as common in his kingdom as stones and cedar, making him one of the richest men in history. His diplomatic skills and trade agreements with the kings of Tyre and Egypt ensured prosperity and peace for Israel for much of his reign. Among Solomon's constructions, the temple in Jerusalem stands out as the most important. In obedience to God's promise, Solomon built the temple to house the Ark of the Covenant, employing forced labor from Canaanite and Israelite peoples. The temple, built on Mount Moriah, the site where Abraham is said to have sacrificed Isaac, represented a grand undertaking for the time. Made with precious materials, such as gold and fine woods, it was dedicated in the 11th year of Solomon's reign with a great celebration. Besides the temple, Solomon built other important buildings, such as the House of the Forest of Lebanon, a colonnaded portico, a room for his throne, a house for the daughter of the Pharaoh of Egypt, one of his wives, and his own residence, where he housed 700 wives and 300 concubines. Solomon's wisdom is equally famous. The Bible recounts a dream in which the Lord appeared to him, and Solomon asked for wisdom to rule his people. His wisdom is manifested in various biblical episodes, such as the story of the two mothers who disputed a baby. Solomon, with his intelligence, resolved the dispute fairly and impartially. Solomon was also a prolific writer, composing thousands of proverbs and songs. The depth of his proverbs impressed everyone, and people from all over the world traveled to hear him. The Queen of Sheba, for instance, visited Solomon, being impressed by his wisdom and offering him gifts. Despite his wisdom, Solomon also made mistakes. His use of forced labor, the entry of idolatry into Israel through his international trade practices, the imposition of heavy taxes, and his polygamy led to problems in his kingdom. Solomon's many foreign wives influenced his beliefs, and in his old age, he practiced mixed worship, following other gods. His polygamy, which exceeded the biblical ordinance for kings of Israel, was one of the main factors that led to the introduction of false gods into his kingdom. Solomon's sin, in turning away from the worship of God, had consequences. God, though he loved David, was indignant with Solomon and allowed enemies to rise against him. Jeroboam, a strong leader who rebelled against Solomon's policies, divided the kingdom of Israel after the king's death, becoming king of the northern tribes. The Bible does not describe Solomon's death in detail, but it recounts that he died in a weakened kingdom, on the verge of collapse. Despite his mistakes, Solomon contributed significantly to Israel, building the temple of the Lord, consolidating Israel's presence on the international stage, and being a major exponent of Hebrew wisdom literature. As for the extra-biblical stories about Solomon, they lack concrete evidence. While the Bible mentions the existence of records about Solomon, these materials have been lost. The legends and fantastical writings that portray Solomon as a magician capable of controlling demons and conversing with animals probably emerged in the medieval period. Solomon's historicity is widely accepted by archaeologists, although there are debates about the extent and characteristics of his kingdom. Recent archaeological discoveries have contributed to the understanding of the Israelite monarchy, but excavations in the area of the temple, despite being crucial, are often problematic due to political and religious issues. What we know reliably about Solomon is recorded in the Bible. Despite the glory and splendor of his kingdom, he teaches us about the impermanence of wealth and power and the importance of seeking divine wisdom. Solomon, the king of glory and controversy, serves as a reminder that true wisdom lies in seeking God, not in following the ways of the world.